Hi guys, welcome back to channel. In the previous episode, we built a responsive navbar with a beautiful animation just using CSS. I will pin the last video right here so you can click on it if you don't want to miss out any interesting thing. But if you don't have time, don't worry, I will summarize everything I did before in a moment. Okay, first I have to say that today we continue with the page transition with smooth animation. So the tool we use today is React Router DOM and Framer Motion. I have a complete project right here for you to visualize. When I click on the nav item, it will redirect you to another page with smooth animation. Maybe you don't like this animation, but this tutorial will teach you to understand how to do the page transition using React Router and add your animation using Framer Motion. Then you can customize your animation by yourself, so it's really useful for you. By the way, all the information about the Regfox, I refer to this website, the link below the description, so you can check it out to learn more about the amazing knowledge. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell, then it's a win-win for both of us. And now, let's dive into the code. Let me give you a quick recap if you haven't seen my previous video. In app.js, we have two components, the navbar and the content. This is where we deal with it today. But let's talk about the navbar. In navbar.js, at the top we have a logo with nice typography here. Below that, we have a nav menu with 6 nav items. Inside each nav item, we have a nav icon and a link text. Next, go to navbar.css with a large screen version. When I hover over the nav container, it expands the width to 16 rem. With a small screen version, it will no longer expand the navigation bar and display the link text. Meanwhile, it is fitted to the bottom. Back to our index.js, and since our topic today is page transitions, we'll be working with React Router DOM. On the left side of the screen, I have a roadmap step by step, setting up the React Router for your convenience. First, you need to open the terminal and run npm install React Router DOM.
A few moments later.
Now to get things started with React Router, you need to wrap the whole app in browser routers. This is the step number 2. On the top of the file, we need to import it from React Router DOM. Step number 3. Let's create a new folder. We call it the pages, and inside of it I will create a new file for description.js. Then we create a functional component for description and give it a description page right here. Let's go ahead with range.js and with the same with the previous one. Same for the rest, we have diet, life history, for the time being, I don't care about the content of each page. This is just quick page creation procedures. And now we proceed to step 4. In the 4th step, we already have a nav menu, but we need to replace all of the A tags with the nav link tags. Because we work with React Router DOM, nav link is a useful component when building navigation menus such as a breadcrumb or setup tabs where you would like to show which of them is currently selected. You can easily know whether or not it is active. By default, an active class is added to the navlink component when it is active. So I can easily style the selected nav item like this. Now to define our routes in content.js, I'm going to create an array objects for our routes, and it's going to take 3 different properties. The first one is the path. In this case, it is set to the description. Next, we create a name, and finally, the component is just going to be assigned to the description component. Now just copy this and rename it for the corresponding element. So we got our route set up, but you can see the VS Code tells us that we haven't defined these components in content.js, so we need to import them. The step number 6, you use route component. The route component is the most important components in React routers. It's used to render some UI when its path matches to the current URL. And inside the route, I want to render the description page. So I put it description component, and it just happened when the path attribute matches to large description. So we do the same with range pay. Then we need to wrap all of the route inside the routes. Now you save this. Take a look at the browser. You can see the path is description, and the content component switch it to description page. If I fit the path to range, the content component switches to range pay. So at this point, we want to do the same for the rest of the pages. So you'll copy this line of code and edit for those pages. But for example, your website has 10 or even 20 pages. You can't do it manually. Now we have to use array.map. Map is a method to create a new array by calling a function for every array element. So instead you do with each route like this. I call route components. The array's name .map. Looking at the syntax, we have 2 arguments. The first one is the function, and the second one is this value. It's an optional argument, which doesn't matter much in this case. So ignore it. Back to the first argument, I use the arrow function. In the function, we have 3 arguments, but the index and array are options. So we just have the current value. I put it in object form. It stores 2 informations. It's the path and the component. Inside the function, we call the route and put in 2 props. Okay, we finished setting up the React routers. Let's take a look. In the localhost 3000, look at the console. We have Navbar and we have the content. Inside here is render description page. If I want to jump to diet page, I type this diet. So we got the diet page right here. Let's check the remaining pages. Range, conversation, and life history. But I don't want to type on localhost 3000 every time I switch the page. In fact, we already have the navbar. Logically, I want every time I click on the nav item, it will automatically switch to that page. How can I do that? Do you remember the nav link I said before? It's designed to deal with this problem. So simple, you just need to use the 2 properties and give it the large description. Do the same with the remaining nav link. As you can see, now I click on nav item, it will switch to the corresponding page. So before we go too far in animating the page transition, we have to completely code for our pages. Take a look at my final project. You can see in my web design, every page had the same structure. They have a title, an image, and a paragraph. Instead, you have to cover all of this code for one by one. Trust me, this is not a smart way. In fact, I tried to do this, and I have a lot of repetitive code. It's not necessary. The disadvantage comes in when you have to fix something, for example, the duration of the animation. You have to cover 6 pages, or even 10 if your project is too big. You can use the model page with all of the theme UI and animation. Then on each page, you can call the model components and use props for specific content. Okay, that sounds good, but how can I do it? Just follow me. You create a new file, model.js, and have a basic structure. Inside the model component function, we have a title, an image, and paragraphs. Okay, we're basically done. Now back to our description.js. You call the model component and pass data or UI elements by using props. Props is an argument to your function. I also have a video about this. You can check it out right here, cause you don't want to miss out some interesting things. Okay, come back to your project. You give the prop title, description, same as for the image and paragraph. By the way, you want the browser to show the right image, you have to import it and give it the name you have used from the direction that store your image. And for the paragraphs, you can tag on this website about the Red Fox. You can also spend minutes on this website. The link below the description. I'm sure it's not a waste of your time. Let's save and see our result. Here we are. Now we do the same thing for another page. All of the information I get on the website. Okay, all these pages are done. Now we have to style the content and make it look better. One thing here, I will use SCSS instead of CSS because you can match the structure of your SCSS up to the structure of your HTML. But first, you need to install the SCSS in your terminal.
A few moments later.
And switch the CSS into SCSS. This part isn't complicated, it's just about the physical size, position, and color. Well, I'm gonna do it very fast. If you don't keep up, you can check it out on my GitHub, or you can style it yourself so that it looks best to you. We start with the title. Go to the Google Fonts website. Search for Bebas New. Then copy this line code and pass it into the content.scss. Inside the large screen version, we style the title with fonts and colors. To create stylized square as my final project, you can create a div with class name square and a model component. Then you wrap this thing inside the image container. Go back to the content.scss. Use style for the content position, the image, and finally the square. Now you can see the advantage of creating the model component. You only need to edit once for all pages. Okay, finally we style the paragraph. Just simple like this. Basically, the UI design is good. You don't need to follow exactly what I did. You can customize and design your own style. As you can see, every time you switch the page, it happens very subtly with no effect. Makes the UX experience not smooth. Therefore, we have to use a tool called Framer Motion. You can learn more about the Framer Motion on this website. But first, you need to install npm install Framer Motion.
A few moments later.
Then import Motion from the Framer Motion library. M is short for the motion. We start with the simplest animation, the fade-in effect. When you switch to a new page, you want the page to go from invisible to visible. To do that, you add m dot in front of the div you want to animate. With the fade-in animation, we want the property initial start with opacity 0. Then animate and up opacity 1. The transition properties makes the animation look smooth. I give it delay 0.25 seconds. The duration 0.5 and ease out. Let's take a look. You can see when we jump to the page, we have a bit of the fade-in animation here. And again, thanks to the model component we did before, we only need to add the animation once for all these pages. Next, I want the image container translate along the x-axis. So as I did before, I will add the m dot in front of the image container div. I put x minus 200 pixel inside the initial and 0 pixel inside the animate. Same as for the transition. Then I want this square to rotate from minus 90 degrees to 0. And finally, I want the title translate along the y-axis. Starting with minus 100 pixel and ending at 0 pixel. The opposite side with the paragraph. Okay, but it hasn't been perfect. I want some animate to fade out before we leave the page like this. Not like this. To do that, the Framer Motion supports another properties called axis. To create an axis animation like my finished project, you just need to set the same values as the initial values inside the axis. Save and run this. Well, nothing happened, right? Like some kind of magic, all of your coding problems can be found solution on Stack Overflow. This guy had the same problem as us, and it can be fixed. The reason that this is not working is that you have to explicitly specify the key of the child that you are conditionally rendering. Wow! But we don't use switch in React Router version 6 anymore. I will show you how to deal with it. In app.js, let's import the use location. I define it with const value named location. in routes component, we have two props here, the key and the location. With the key, we set the location dot path name and the location inside the location props, and we wrap all of these things inside animate present access before enter. But just remember to import it. Let's take a look. It's too smooth, the UX is too good. At this time, we have two problems that haven't been solved. First, we need to code for the activated nav item. This will make it easy for us to find out which navigation item is selected. The second is the responsive problem for the content section. As you can see, in the small screen version, it does not display well. First, we deal with the nav item. As I said before, the nav link is very convenient in this case. It supports the isActive state. For example, when I click on the description, the isActive state inside this nav link is set to true. So I have class name here, which return a function with isActive argument. And if it's set to true, I will add the activated class after the nav link. Okay, the same idea for all the nav link. You copy this code and paste it right here and here. Comes to Navbar.css. I will style for the activated class with a filter like this. Let's check it out. Okay, it's worked perfectly. The second thing, we have to style for the small screen version. And again, I'll do it quickly because it just maybe looks good in my opinion. You can style your own. Or if you still want to follow me but can't keep up, you can check out all of this code on my GitHub, the link below the description. Actually, we have the last page we haven't finished, that about page. But I will leave this to you. It's like a little homework and you can customize the site to your own style. After 2 tutorial videos, we build a simple website including the responsive functionality, animating navbar using CSS, the React Router DOM to manage and flexible switch between each page, and the Fame motion to create the page transition. I believe you have learned a lot of knowledge. Good luck on your path to become a developer. Now remember to hit the subscribe button and turn the bell to receive the latest notification about my channel. I will definitely make more videos like this in the future. And now, see ya!